Ambassador David Welch, the Assistant Secretary for Near East Affairs, will now give remarks and introduce the Secretary.
We're joined by our leader, Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. As Secretary, she's been in Iraq 11 times, joining her hands with those of other of our men and women there, like Steve Farley, to make a better Iraq for a safer America. Secretary Rice.
We've gathered this morning here at the State Department family to mourn the loss, to celebrate the life, and to honor the service of Stephen Farley. I want to offer both my gratitude and my deepest condolences to the members of Steve's family who I've just had the honor to meet. His parents, Noel and Barbara, and I have to say his father, who is a veteran too of our armed forces. Thank you, sir, for your service and for the example that you set. I see his wife, Donna. And Donna, I want to say to you that in our conversation shortly after Steve's tragic death, I have never known greater courage and strength than what you exhibited and continue to exhibit. To his sons, Brett and Chris and Cameron and their families, Steve's sacrifice will never be forgotten. I want to reflect today on some of the ways that Steve touched our department and served our nation. He was a native of Guthrie, Oklahoma, a Navy Reserve captain, a son, a brother, a husband, a father, and most recently, a grandfather. Those who knew him best say that Steve loved his family more than anything in the world, and that their love sustained him throughout his time in Iraq under circumstances that were more difficult than most could imagine. Steve spoke excitedly to his friends about the antics of his granddaughter, Rebecca, who's here today with her teddy bear. It is in her face, I noticed earlier, that you can see Steve's smile, a legendary part of him that was apparently never absent. Steve's closest friends and colleagues reflect back on how, in meeting after meeting with local Iraqi leaders, Steve's honest, infectious grin and easy affection for people won their trust. It won him their friendship. And when these Iraqis saw Steve's compassion for their people and for their country, they called him their brother, and they treated him like it too. Steve originally deployed to Iraq as a Navy Reserve officer, but then he chose to return, this time as a civilian. In the words of one of Steve's friends, he was dogging to go back. And when he did, Steve entered one of the most challenging security situations in the entire country, a provincial reconstruction team assigned to some of the toughest parts of Baghdad, in which Steve was embedded with our men and women in uniform, working shoulder to shoulder with them every day. Those who knew Steve say that he believed in his heart and soul that his mission in Sadr City and Hatamiya were both noble and right, and that the job was worth seeing through. I'm told that for months, the Sadr City District Council had been too terrified to even convene. Yet it was Steve's persistent spirit and hard work that inspired the courage in them to refuse to be intimidated by evil men and to join together, finally, for the sake of peace and liberty. Tragically, it was an attack in one of those meetings that Steve lost his life, as did 3 other Americans. But just 2 days later, with heavy yet defiant hearts, Steve's Iraqi partners summoned the courage to meet again, to carry on with the noble work of building a free Iraq. What greater honor could there have been to Steve? After his death, Steve's family received a letter from one of his Iraqi colleagues a man who Steve called his brother. This Iraqi said he would change his son's name to Stephen. That was his way of honoring his dear friend. It was how we could, quote, he said, see him in front of our eyes always. On behalf of a grateful nation, I want to say that in the courage of Steve, in his dedication and his commitment to our values, in his insistence that those values should be for every man, woman, and child, that no one should live in tyranny and in fear, we will see him in front of our eyes always. On behalf of a grateful nation, it is my honor to announce that Stephen Farley has been awarded the Superior Honor Award, and it is my solemn duty to present this award to Donna. This award is an expression of the immeasurable debt of gratitude we owe to you and your family. Steve was a man of integrity, and he made the ultimate sacrifice for our country and for his friends. All who worked with Steve, who served with Steve, and loved Steve, had the honor of witnessing greatness in a fellow human being. May we keep his family in our prayers. May we draw strength from our faith, and that his soul now abides in the eternal embrace of the God he loved, in a place where love and joy and life are boundless in duration. And may we honor this brave man by striving in our own lives, just as Steve did in his, to leave behind a better world that we have helped to make better. And in doing so, though he can never be replaced, may we always see him in front of our eyes. And now it is my distinct honor to present the Superior Honor Award to Steve's wife, Donna.